go, can I one of these? Go for it.
Hi, everybody.
Hey guys, welcome to What's for Dinner. Glad to have you all.
Yeah.
You caught me by surprise on that one. Wasn't
Sorry,
quite
I
ready
know.
yet. Hope you guys are doing good on this Wednesday afternoon. It's about, a little after 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's roll right into it. I got a lot to cover with you guys today. Just remember, everything we're talking about here is for informational, educational, entertainment purposes only. If you guys have any questions, nothing here should be construed as medical advice. If you have any questions, ask your professional healthcare provider those questions, okay? So anyway, rolling right into what we made. Teresa made some chaffles today, so do you want to talk about those a little bit more?
Yeah, it's a half a cup of mozzarella cheese, shredded, 1 egg, and 2 tablespoons of almond flour. And don't look at my,
Yeah, we had kids cooking in our house and they didn't clean up after
Yeah.
themselves. So you see all the excess grease. That's not from us.
yeah. So then you just put it in a waffle maker, and I unplugged it so you can leave it up.
Okay.
So I just have a ham and cheese sandwich with fresh tomatoes out of Janie's garden, and onion and a pickle. And then, well, let me just finish with this. Over
Yeah.
here, Janie just got back. She's been gone for 2 months for jaw reconstruction surgery. She just came back to the office yesterday with a bag of tomatoes.
Yeah, and look at those tomatoes. I mean, it's absolutely crazy the difference between store-bought. Hey, we're not advocating plants here, guys. However, we have to advocate for those because they're amazing. And then, of course, every week, Angie, our nurse, brings us farm fresh eggs. So we thought we'd show those. And I mean,
Yep.
our eggs are just amazing when they come from there.
So I'm gonna have tomato, onion, and cucumber with balsamic vinegar and olive oil
And lots of salt.
and lots of salt.
Yes.
And then I made Mark ground beef with the homemade taco seasoning that we do, and cheese, shredded cheese in there, and I put 3 eggs in there. So,
Yum. Can't wait.
and
All
Nate,
right.
Nate is already eating at the table.
Yep.
And is it good, Nate?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Right on.
So, what do you got for us today?
All right, so today I'm going to talk a little bit about an in-body body composition analysis test that I did. We do these in the office. We have an in-body machine. So in-body, these body composition analysis machines are made to measure things like fat content in your body, muscle content, bone and mineral density, and water weight, and things like that. So we originally started doing the in-bodies because of the hormones. When Teresa would put women on hormones, they would oftentimes gain weight. And so we wanted to show them that the weight you're gaining is not really gaining fat. By the way, for those of you guys who chase the scale and weight,
Oh, yeah.
Stop. We don't care about weight. We care about what you're made of, where the weight is coming from, okay? So when people go on hormones, or when Teresa's patients go on hormones, hormones are anabolic. They have an anabolic effect. That means you're going to put on muscle, okay? And so what we wanted to show people is, yes, you're putting on weight, but you're putting on muscle weight, not fat. And at the end of the day, you might put on weight in pounds, but again, who cares? If you put on 10 pounds of muscle and you lose 8 pounds of fat, that's still lose 8 pounds of fat, that's still a net gain of 2 pounds, but you're gaining muscle weight. And I'm going to show you why that's important in this in-body composition analysis that I did on myself. Now, understand what I'm about to show you is I just did this last week, and this is after coming off of a summer where I did nothing but walking, which is not working out, it's activity. It's still good for you, but it's still activity, it's not exercise. But I was also twice a week running sprints. Now, sprints are a total body resistance exercise. That's why when you see Olympic sprinters, they look like freaking Hercules, because like they are actually doing resistance training, and your human growth hormone and your testosterone go through the roof when you're doing sprint workouts and running sprints. Now, with all that being said, I expected my numbers to be a little bit better, but they weren't bad. I'm not saying that by any means, but let's go ahead and go over it. So I'm gonna fly through this, guys, but come on over here. I'm gonna grab my glasses and a pen, and then Teresa's gonna do the best she can to hone in on this in-body readout that we did. Okay, can you see both of those on there? All right, guys, I'm sorry, I have to fly through this, so otherwise we're gonna have download issues. That looks totally fine, hon. Okay, so this first part is literally gonna tell us what we're made of, okay? So you can see these first 2 numbers here are gonna be measured in pounds, the amount of water inside your cells and outside your cells, all right? So you can see I have 68.6 pounds of water in the cells and 39.9 out for a total body water weight of 108 pounds. That's right, 108 pounds of water in my body. It's normal to have, and it's healthy to have more water in the cells than outside of the cells. If we see this being higher than this, we want to think that there's major inflammation, or sometimes if you have an injury or something like that, you might have more extracellular water. So if you think about like when you tear an ACL on your knee, it swells up, right? So that swelling is outside the cell water that's it's basically splinting that area of your body to protect it. So that's when we would see this be a little bit higher. Okay, the next one, I'm gonna skip down, I'm gonna go to body fat mass. So I have 28.2 pounds of body fat in my entire body. That's the weight-wise, again, in pounds, all right? And then up here, we're gonna take everything else. So dry lean mass is gonna be muscle, bone, brain, everything else minus the fat and minus the water, okay? And we can see when we put all this together, I come to a total body weight of 176.6 pounds, okay? All right, moving right along. The next part, the muscle fat analysis. The next couple of sections, I want you to pay attention. This top bar is your range bar, okay? This is gonna show the arrow pointing down is the low range. This is your sweet spot or the median range here. And then over here, you have the arrow pointing up. This is gonna show the high range for what I'm about to show you, these different readings, okay? So again, looking at weight, you can see that you're gonna see two sets of numbers here. The first big number here, 176.6, that's coming from up here. This is my pounds, so it's measured in pounds. Then up here, you're gonna see this small set of numbers going across the top right here. This is a percentage, okay? And all this means is, let's say you were going and taking a test at school. 100% is a perfect score. Below 100 is less than perfect, and above 100 is better than perfect, okay? Now, in these readings, some of that is good and some is bad, but I'll explain it as we go. So this machine, showing me weighing 176.6, is showing I'm actually above average on my weight. Now, normally people would say, oh my gosh, you're above average on your weight, that's not good. But hold on a second, there's more to the story than this, okay? This is just telling me my weight. We don't, again, care what the weight is, we care what we're made of, okay? So let's go down to the next section, skeletal muscle mass. So skeletal muscle mass is the muscle that's hanging off of the bone, okay? So this is the muscle that we usually, that we like to see. This is what you see when you're looking at a bodybuilder, okay? So you can see I have 85.1 pounds of skeletal muscle mass. So you can see I'm well above average on that. So that's a good thing for me. And if you were looking at it as a percentage, you would see I'm about 125%. So I'm above average and above a perfect score on my muscle. Then go down to the next one, body fat mass. Now you can see I'm in the median area, a little bit high on the high side of the median, but I'm in the median area with 28.2, okay? So I'm a little bit higher than the actual sweet spot, which is right down in here. All right, hopefully everybody's tracking. I know I'm moving fast. Next section down, again, paying attention to this top bar is showing where we're gonna be at. BMI, just ignore it. We don't use BMI. This is what everybody wants to know when they do an in-body or a body composition. They want to know how much percentage of body fat I have, okay? So if you're looking at this, it's showing my body fat at 16%. This is where I was a little bit disappointed because where my skeletal muscle mass was really good and above average, which I'll show you why that's important here in a little bit, this was a little bit higher than I wanted at 16%. I'd like myself to be down around between 10 and 12%, which I've done before, and I feel like I look really good. Now, there are points where you can reach where your body fat is too low. So for instance, for men, critical body fat is 4%, okay? So we don't want to get down below 4% as a male. For women, it's a little bit higher. It's between 6 and 8%, okay? But I prefer to be around 10 or 12% on my body fat. All right. Moving along down here, this next part is the segmental lean analysis. I'm gonna go through this I'm just gonna graze this, guys, because this is just showing where your muscle is at, in the arms, in the legs, in the trunk, and you can see this is totally, the big takeaway for me is that everything is pretty symmetrical here, okay? Like my arms aren't really small or legs aren't really small when I have really big arms, or vice versa. One leg is not considerably bigger than the other. They're all about the same, all right? We can skip over the water weight here. This is extracellular water to total body water. We can skip that. This is just a compilation of all this information, and it tracks it. Whenever we do a body composition analysis at the office, it's going to actually populate each one of these lines, and you can compare your newest scores to your last ones and stuff. So that's what that's for. Okay, this is the meat and potato, guys, of everything right here. So according to this machine, they would like to see me, the recommendations by this machine are to lose 2.2 pounds of body fat, and then over here on the muscle side to maintain what I have on muscle, okay? So that's what the machine would tell me. And all it's doing is aggregating data from people that are my age, my sex, my height, and they're saying compared to all those other people, this is where we think you should be, all right? Segmental fat analysis, this next part, again, it's not real important. This is just like this analysis over here of the lean part of your body. This is showing where the accumulation of fat is. And this is probably normal for most people, but most of our fat is in our trunk or our midsection. And I can tell you, when I look in the mirror, that's where I see my fat. Like it's around the hips and the belly and stuff like that, you know? So I'm gonna skip over resting metabolic rate because that's really what I wanna talk a lot about. And I wanna go to visceral fat here, this last part, okay? So let me talk about the ranges first. So on the low side, you have a 1 down here. The 10 is the middle spot, and it maxes out at a 20 on the high side right here. What we want to do is see this reading at a 10 or below, and I'm a 5. So I'm perfectly okay with that. I'm in a the perfect zone for visceral fat. So now what is visceral fat? Visceral fat is essentially fat around your organs. So if you think about fatty liver disease or non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, that's basically what they're talking about here. It's fat around your organs, all right? When you have high levels of visceral fat, that's not a good thing. You're always going to have some, but you don't want a high visceral fat, in this case above a 10, which I'm not. The other places you can have fat are going to be subcutaneous. That's the fat below the skin, so that's the fat you can see. This is usually what we want to burn off or what we don't want to see anymore when we burn fat. You've got intramuscular fat. So if you think about like a steak, like a ribeye, you've got fat inside the meat that's kind of causes that marbling. Then you also have something called ectopic fat, okay? That's another fat that's really bad. So if you think of somebody with, what is that condition? Lipidemia or lipedema?
Lipedema.
Lipedema. So somebody who has excess amounts of fats that are stored in places that they shouldn't go. Or you think of it like an ectopic pregnancy. You know, it's an egg basically forming where it's not supposed to form and planting there. Same thing happens with fat. We don't want that, like a fatty tumor. All right, so that's where we are with visceral fat. Now, coming back here, the basal metabolic rate is also known as the resting metabolic rate, okay? So this number here, 1,823, is the number of calories my body burns every single day just to provide me with the most basic of functions, to keep me alive, essentially, okay? So that's the number. So what we like to do from our standpoint in the ketogenic, low-carb, metabolic health hormone community is we want to see this number as high as possible. This number is, no matter what we're doing, we're burning this number of calories every single day, okay? We're tapping into it. So the higher this number goes, the better. So if we're looking back over here and we're increasing our weight, but we're increasing it through muscle and not fat, this number is going up and up and up, okay? So I'm gonna take a little bit of a brief pause here because we lost Facebook. Looks like Facebook just came back up. So hopefully nobody got cut out. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to put on as much muscle as we can while not losing, put on as much muscle, lose as much fat, and get this number as high as possible. This increases our metabolic rate. Hopefully everybody's tracking so far. So with all that being said, for me, I'm gonna come back here and do another one of these body composition analysis, and if you wanna screen back over to me, you can. I'm gonna do another one of these in about 3 or 4 months. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna transition from doing sprints twice a week plus walking to I'm going to do sprints once a week, maybe walk once a week, but I'm going to start doing resistance training twice a week. And I'm going to use the SMART training principle, which is Dr. Ben Bokikio. You can find his information at drbenbo.com. Anyway, he's big into the low carb community. His SMART training workouts are only twice a week, and they only take 15 minutes per workout. And I've done this many times before, and I know it works, but I'm going to transition to doing that, and then I'm going to come back in 3 or 4 months, and I'm going to show you guys what the difference is between the two. And my goal here is I want to put on about 10 more pounds of muscle. If I put on 10 more pounds of muscle in 4 to 6 months, every pound of muscle burns about 20 calories a day just at rest, just to maintain itself. So that'll be about 200 additional calories a day. That'll put my resting metabolic rate over 2,000, and that's what I want. And I also want to lower my body fat down to about 12% or less. So those are my goals. And Teresa, did you want to add anything? Because I know we're going high on time now.
13 minutes.
Okay.
So if you're in the area, we offer this at the office. I don't know how much it is.
$25, guys. And I'll sit down, or Angie or nurse will sit down with you, and we'll go over it all with you again.
I can't get that.
Yeah.
If you're a patient, it's free.
Yeah, it's part of the deal when you're a hormone patient, or if you're going to come to us for health coaching or for personal training. But in any case, tell us what you're having for dinner.
Yes.
And if you have any questions, shoot them our way. We love you guys. God bless you all, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.